posturing on moral high ground. MP who backed sex abuse liar Henry Deedes has his doubts about whether Tom Watson has really changed his stripesBy. Henry Deedes for the Daily Mail published 23:46 British Summer Time, the 11th of September 2019, updated 0:39 British Summer Time, the 12th of September 2019. Remember when Madonna briefly restyled herself as a country manor house chatelaine? It came shortly after her marriage to Guy Ritchie. Out went the conical brass and foul language. In came flat caps, country tweeds and a polished, cut-glass accent. Seasoned observers of Madge's career never really bought this demure new persona. Sure enough, she was back to throwing strops and flashing her knickers before you could yell, "Tally-ho!" Labour Deputy Leader Tom Watson, you'll have noticed, has undergone his own radical makeover over this past year, journeying from Pilsner-swilling rabble-rouser to softly spoken front-bench moderate. I'm often reminded of this short-lived stab at respectability when contemplating Labour Deputy Leader Tom Watson's new image. Mr. Watson, you'll have noticed, has undergone his own radical makeover over this past year, journeying from Pilsner-swilling rabble-rouser to softly spoken front-bench moderate. Some even regard him as Labour's conscience, especially when compared to the more extreme elements who occupy the party's upper echelons. But there are many around Westminster who maintain reservations about this Damascene conversion. Tom Watson gone soft, they scoff. Don't you believe it? We saw a flash of Watson Mark I at Somerset House yesterday. It came shortly into a talk he was giving to the Creative Industries Federation lobby group. Mr. Watson arrived fashioning a white buttoned-up shirt, and tucked like a nightdress, and trendy Nike sneakers. Had he worn a beret and been sprouting whiskers, he could have been a chin-stroking intellectual from Paris's left bank. As he tried to woo his creative audience, we heard puzzling quotes from Joseph Conrad, Dylan Thomas and Emily Bronte. The passages he weaved into his speech were overly long and barely apposite. It was like a pretentious adolescent trying to impress his girlfriend. Had Mr. Watson worn a beret and been sprouting whiskers at Somerset House, he could have been a chin-stroking intellectual from Paris's left bank. We also heard about his love of music. He recalled seeing Oasis perform at Hull's Adelphi Club in 1988, I think. Unlikely. The band didn't form until 1991, then came a mention of the Prime Minister. Boris Johnson, he said, his vocal cords clenched with moral authority, a finger and thumb pinching his tortoise shells for emphasis, was the most disgraceful Conservative politician of his generation. A gasp, a gulp, then a brief snort of derision from a brother sketch writer. Really? Seriously? Was he at it again? Tom Watson, chief proponent of serial fantasist Carl Nick Beech's claims, which destroyed the reputations of war hero Lord Bramall and other senior public officials, once again handing down judgment from on high about other people's moral fiber. Well. Mr. Johnson's main crime, in Mr. Watson's eyes, is that he is trying to deliver Brexit. Exiting the European Union, Mr. Watson assured the audience, was a dreadful idea which would decimate the creative sector, and he intends to stop it. He even admitted that whatever deal the government engineered out of Brussels, he wouldn't vote for it. As such, he wants a second referendum before a general election happens. Just as he said this, Shadow Brexit Secretary Keir Starmer was on stage at the TUC conference in Brighton announcing Labour's official policy was to demand an election first. Trouble at TS Mill last night, I suspect. This week just goes from bad to dreadful for the government, after news broke that judges at Edinburgh's Court of Session had unanimously ruled Boris Johnson's suspension of Parliament was illegal. This was supposed to be a partisan audience, but looking around the vault-ceilinged room, you wouldn't have noticed. It was made up mainly of scruffily dressed media types staring at the phones. Many, I expect, were there as an excuse to get out of the office in the morning. As the talk began to fizzle out, news broke that judges at Edinburgh's Court of Session had unanimously ruled that the Prime Minister's suspension of Parliament this week was illegal. Oh dear, this week just goes from bad to dreadful for the government. Who knows, perhaps in years to come we will look back at this balmy past fortnight and agree with Tom Watson that Boris Johnson really was the most disgraceful politician in this golden generation of duplicitous scoundrels. But I have a feeling Lord Bramley will carry a different view. Let's block ads. Why?